Dude, I went outside and took Pocky for a walk, and it felt like the fall just completely skipped over Maryland. And I'm so pissed off because every single year I'm like, I'm so excited for fall. And then we get that like week of really, really nice weather. And then just like that, it will be winter and it's like 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, well, I mean that's pretty typical for Maryland, but I mean that's normally all we get as a week. Like that's what it really feels like, of that nice like 60 to 70 degree weather, like even 50 sometimes if there's no wind. But I mean, yeah, today has probably been, with the wind and everything, the coldest day of the year so far.
Yeah.
And I mean it makes sense. Like we are almost to December. Like I expected it to be colder already, but you know, I don't know. Like I want to say this week has definitely been the coldest that it has been, and I am not here for it. That's for sure.
I'm 100% not here for it. But in a couple weeks, I'm actually heading to Jacksonville for the Ravens Jacksonville Jaguars game. So we're going to be there for 4 days. So I'm really going to try and enjoy the weather while I'm there. There will be a vlog that comes out about that on the I'm Him Sports YouTube page. So make sure you subscribe and like and keep updated with all of our different channels as well, with TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We're on everything. And here we go. This is the I'm Him Sports podcast. Once again, I am your host, Matthew King, and joined next to me is my guy, Jake Morris. And this week was absolutely, first of all, I knew it was going to be a crazy week in the NFL just because of the spreads, like looking at the bets. I don't think there was a bet that was over like 3.5 this week, even the Titans and Panthers, which I thought the Titans might be favored by 10 points. But speaking of the Panthers, they just fired Frank Reich, which is, we talked about it last week, that we thought maybe it was a little bit too early. You know, they've fired their last 3 head coaches in season, or no, they fired their last 3 head coaches after 1 year, and the past 2 years it's been in season.
Yeah.
So,
well, we talked about who we thought was going to be the first coach to be fired mid-season, and I don't think either one of us said Frank Reich. Like,
no.
I know I said Ron Rivera,
yeah,
and maybe that's a little biased, but I thought maybe you said Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
Can't quite remember, but he wasn't up there. Like I think we both thought it was way too soon. I know he was on the hot seat, is what people were saying, but for him to be the first head coach,
yeah,
to be fired mid-season. Well, besides Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
But we should have known he was going to be fired anyway.
Yeah,
He should have been fired last year. Yeah. But, yeah, I thought it was really early to do so, especially with a rookie quarterback, and now you're putting him in position to have an interim head coach. But not only that, now they have to go and hire another person. So he's going to go through 3 head coaches in 1 year, more than likely.
Right. And I mean, like, he got thrown into a situation that was already tough. And then, I mean, also, I'm pretty positive he wanted CJ Stroud with that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Honestly, would that have changed what is going on in the Panthers team right now? I'm not sure, but still, like, he really doesn't seem like he had any involvement really on the decision making. He just stepped into the role and was like, okay, this is what I have to deal with. And obviously the team was not prepared to go out and win some games, as they only have 1 win to this date. So
yeah, I'm really surprised that they have 1 win. I'm actually pulling up David Tepper's press conference here.
No, it's been reported and we talked about it. Originally we were going to go with the number 2 pick, and we thought we would get CJ because we thought the Texans were going to pick Bryce. And listen, we preferred Bryce. He was our number 1 pick. We had a lot of conviction.
It really sounded like David Tepper wanted CJ Stroud. I know that he said we're really confident in the pick, but as you can see in this tweet here, he does say that they're totally confident in Bryce Young, but they said that they were trying to trade up to the number 2 pick, and they were very comfortable with taking CJ Stroud, which I know a lot of people were telling me personally. They were saying, I tweeted underneath of it and I said, that's not something that you should be saying in front, knowing that your quarterback 1 is going to hear it. And then people were like, well, he said that he was really confident in taking Bryce Young, but you should never, ever talk about another quarterback potentially being in that position.
No, not at all. And I believe he said it first that they intended to take, like they wanted to take CJ Stroud, but then he backtracked later. And I feel like he was just trying to cover his tracks at that point of saying, like, yeah, this is what I said, but no, like, Bryce Young is our guy. Like, everyone was in agreement, like, we wanted Bryce Young. Like, I feel like that was almost like a backtrack. That wasn't actually, like, I think he actually meant that he wanted CJ Stroud, but he just, I guess, being that GM like mindset or whatever. He's like, oh wait, I said this. I have to go back and be like, oh no, Bryce Young's our guy. And I think that's his way of trying to recover any sort of like, I guess, disrespect or just like, because that's a like if your QB, if he didn't come back like, I mean, I even him just saying coming out and saying they wanted CJ Stroud or he personally wanted CJ Stroud, like with everything that's going on this season, like that's Bryce Young's confidence is probably at an all-time low right now.
For sure.
Like, and that just does not help at all.
No, and I feel awful for Bryce Young because not only was it Frank Reich's fault, but it's also the front office's fault. They went out and signed Adam Thielen, who was on the back end of his career and who's been known to be a career wide receiver too. They went and spent a shit ton of money on Miles Sanders.
Which you don't do in today's NFL.
Exactly.
You don't spend that kind of money on running backs. As much as I kind of hate it, but you just don't do that.
Yeah, and then they went out, so they went out and got DJ Chark too, who is a career wide receiver 2 or even 3. And I'm thinking to myself, they're just putting a bunch of secondary guys together and thinking that they can collectively be a number one group, and that just never works. And I think that the Panthers know now that trading away DJ Moore was the absolute worst decision they could have done in the entire trade. I'm okay with the picks, but not having that number one guy for your rookie quarterback has got to hurt.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I'll hop into this personally in a little bit talking about the Bears, but like DJ Moore, he's a clear number one wide receiver with everything that's going on in that Bears organization themselves. And like I said, I'll get into it in a little bit. Like he has proven to be quite the number one receiver. Like even when Tyson Bagent was in there, like he was still making plays for them. So for them to trade away and then bring in all of these already seasoned guys that we knew what they were about, like Adam Thielen, I don't think has ever been a number one in his career.
No.
Like he had guys that he was a solid number 2. Like he was a solid like complement player to these guys, but to bring him in and be like, okay, he's gonna be our number one guy, like that's just, and I mean, we don't even need to get into the conversation about that offensive line that's blocking for Bryce Young. Like it's a terrible situation for him to be in. And like I said, I don't know if CJ Stroud would do any better. Like obviously, hindsight, he's doing really well for the Texans right now, but I feel like that might even be just a better situation. Better, yeah.
And we knew. Like we talked about this last time, we knew CJ was better. Like a lot of people knew CJ was going to be better just because of not only the size, but also the competition that he played against and how he performed in the playoffs and all of that. So I don't like that David Tepper is just having CJ Stroud's name in his mouth. I think that's my problem. Like if someone were to ask me and I was the owner of the team, like about CJ Stroud, I'd say I'm not answering that question. Like Bryce is our guy. Like good front offices, good head coaches, they don't talk about other guys. They talk about the guys in the building.
No, 100%. Like if you are a GM, a head coach, and anybody, you do not mention the other guy's name. Like especially with the way your season's going, like your quarterback, his confidence is already probably pretty low, and it's gonna be hard for them, I think, to win another game the rest of this year. Like maybe they'll have that jolt from the interim head coach coming in, but like you just do not do that to your starting quarterback who is you're hoping to be your franchise quarterback. You just don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I wanted to do was I was thinking to myself, all these people on Twitter and all these people on the internet, they say I could do a better job of being the GM than some of these GMs. So I wanted to rebuild the Panthers and see what I would do. Now, also take into account that I'm not great at math, so I'm not good at the cap space part. But I think the Panthers do have a ton of cap space going into next year, and they can cut some guys and open up some more, especially with a rookie quarterback under contract. So here is how I would rebuild the Carolina Panthers. So the first thing that I would do is I would hire Bobby Slowick. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I think I did that correctly. I practiced it a couple times. But he is the offensive coordinator right now for the Houston Texans, and he has developed CJ Stroud. So if you're talking about wanting CJ Stroud or saying how great he's been this year, why not hire the guy who has developed him in his rookie year? He was also thrown out as a name as a head coach for last year, but he ended up going with DeMeco Ryans to the Texans. I think after what he's done with that Texans offense, after it being so awful last year, he 100% deserves a head coaching position, and you need an offensive-minded guy to take over and really bring Bryce Young to his best form. And then what I would do to re-sign, the only player that I would truly re-sign who is maybe one of the best edge rushers in the game, maybe top 2, top 3, is Brian Burns. You have to re-sign Brian Burns for whatever he wants. You were offered 2 first-round picks for him. You were offered a shitload of different picks this year from different teams to try to unload him, and you didn't. So you basically are tied to him for the next probably 5 years, so you might as well re-sign him. And then who I would cut and trade is I would cut Dante Jackson. He has been absolutely awful. I have a best friend who is a Panthers fan, and they make fun of Dante Jackson all the time, and he has shown me clips of him over and over, and he has just been awful. They need another cornerback to go with J.C. Horn. And then I would cut Miles Sanders, and I would cut Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson has an injury issue. He's hurt this year. I think he had some missed games last year as well. He's getting older. He's on a bigger contract. I think they need to get rid of him. And Miles Sanders just hasn't worked out, and you don't pay running backs, like I said. And then here's who I would sign. The number one guy I would sign is T. Higgins. T. Higgins would make such a huge difference in that Panthers offense. Just his ability to get separation, the big-bodied receiver that Bryce Young can just throw the ball up to and trust. And he's got a lot of speed for how big he is. So I think with the Cincinnati Bengals having to re-sign a lot of guys, they just signed Joe Burrow. They're going to have to re-sign Jamar Chase. I think they're going to lose him this offseason, which I would be happy to see. I also said, once again, these are big-time names, so this is what I would do. Hopefully the cap situation works. But Trent Brown is another one, the left tackle for the New England Patriots. Like you said, the offensive line has been awful. There's a guy named Icky who is their left tackle right now. And honestly, they've been saying to move him to guard, that he might be better at that position. I know he was a first-round pick, but if you put him in position to be better and maybe get that value out of your first-round pick, I think that would be great for the Panthers. But that's how I would rebuild the Carolina Panthers. I don't know how you would do it, but that I feel like the number one thing they need is wide receiver. Like, they need the guy.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing with these young quarterbacks is they need that number one guy that they can go to, they can count on, they can throw the ball up to, and it's 50-50 every time. Most of the time, if he's that guy, like he's going to come down with the ball, and at the least, you're like, he's going to bat the ball down. It's not going to be an interception or something like that. Like, I feel like that is huge in any young quarterback's career. And I mean, like, Bryce Young is coming from a spot where he had the best wide receiver talent in probably the nation. Like, so he needs somebody like that. He doesn't need an Adam Thielen or a DJ Chark or whoever else they have on that team. Like, he needs a guy that he can depend on, and I just don't feel like he has that. Like, Adam Thielen, I feel like, has stepped up and tried to fill that number one role, but I don't think he's that. I don't think he is, and I don't think he ever will be.
Right, exactly. And another team that you were just talking about earlier is the Chicago Bears. They are in the weirdest position. This might be the first time that a team not only gets back-to-back the first pick of the NFL draft, but they have an opportunity to maybe trade it away again to even get more of a haul. What do you think about Justin Fields? Because last night I was not impressed. I think he's very off and on, hot and cold, all the time. And I just don't know if I love Justin Fields. I just don't know if he's the guy, and I don't know if it's Chicago or if it's Justin Fields himself.
Yeah, so I guess my thing is that it's hard to judge Justin Fields. I was very high on Justin Fields coming out of college. Like, I thought he was going to be by far the best quarterback in that draft. The thing is, he's been in so many tough situations, and like there has been times where it's been like, okay, Justin, it seems like this is your fault. So I guess this would be my way to rebuild the Chicago Bears. And like you said, they are in a really weird situation with the number one pick and stuff like that. So I guess where I would start was I would just shop around to see what people are willing to offer me for Justin Fields. But in reality, you're probably going to get more for that number one pick. So if the first thing I'm doing is I'm figuring out which one I'm going to get more draft stock out of, or just cap space, everything like that. And depending on which one it is, that's going to tell me whether I need to draft, I guess, Caleb Williams with that number one pick or not. If I can get somewhat of like draft compensation for Justin Fields, that seems right. I think I go with that. And then I think this Matt Eberflus experiment's over. I think he needs to be gone. I think they need to wipe house. I honestly think the best thing that could happen if they keep Justin Fields or if they draft Caleb Williams is they go with an offensive mind of head coach. Because that defense, like, yeah, they have been bad, but I feel like the offense has just put them in terrible situations. Like, they are on the field all game long. Like, and like last night against the Vikings, they showed out. Like this guy Jalen Johnson, he's a dog.
Yeah, they need
and then Kyler Gordon showed up and made some huge plays. Like, they've got some guys on the defense that are formidable. Like, they can make plays and keep them in the game. But when they're on the field all game, it's tough for any defense, as good as you are, to be any good. So I'm two people that come to mind: Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, and I know maybe I don't know if they'll go that direction, but I'd even and I hate to say this as a Commanders fan, but I think we're going to wipe house at the end of this year. I think we're getting rid of Ron Rivera. Eric Bieniemy's not going to be the head coach.
Oh, wow.
So even go after a guy like that and just give him a shot. Like at this point, you're in a complete rebuild. You're at the bottom. Like for the past few years, you've been at the bottom. So I think it's time to take a chance and go see what you can do. But I think whatever quarterback comes in there, they're going to have a lot of talent. Justin Fields still has a ton of talent.
Right.
You need somebody that can develop him and help him the best that you can. But then if you get a guy like Caleb Williams, has all the talent in the world, but maybe isn't that NFL ready, as we talked about last week. Like, we need someone that can develop these guys and help them out the best that we can. Probably in one of the most unique situations we've ever seen in the NFL. Because I also think they'll, depending on, well, I know the Commanders just jumped up to the 4th pick, but they'll also might have a top 5 pick as well, as including that number 1 overall pick.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think Eberflus is 100%. That experiment is done. I don't think he's a great leader. He's terrible in press conferences, as we've seen, saying that Justin Fields was going to play, and then he says he's not going to play. Like, he's not good at the pressure of the Chicago media. And I feel like a guy that I'm surprised they didn't go and try and hire a year ago or this past season for offensive coordinator was Greg Roman. I understand that Roman has his limitations. He has a ceiling, but he developed Lamar Jackson into who he is today. And I hated Greg Roman, but in reality, if Lamar Jackson didn't have those Greg Roman years, the first 2 years more preferably, if he didn't go through that process with Greg Roman, he wouldn't have developed into the passer because he had the best run game in the NFL, probably in NFL history. And he also really helped Lamar in his development as a passer because he put him in good positions to get wide open, good looks. So I was really surprised by that, but they need an offensive coordinator and offensive mind to really come in and change the culture of the Bears because it's always been about defense in an offensive-minded league.
100%. And that's I don't think the problem is the quarterback. Like all these teams, like all the low-level teams, and I'll say it myself because I'm a Washington Commanders fan, and I think we're just behind the Browns on the number of starting quarterbacks we've had since, like, I don't know, 2010 or something like that. Like, when you just go out and you keep drafting these high round, like high talented quarterbacks, like it just does not work out. Like you can replace the guy all you want, but if you don't build around him or try to develop him and then build around him, like it's not going to work out in the end. Like,
yeah, for sure. And then another team in the NFC North that has has another weird position because the Lions are probably going to run that division for the next couple of years. So that is going to be the standard, is beating Detroit. So the Minnesota Vikings last night, I knew that Josh Dobbs' run was going to end at some point. I wish it didn't end last night because we both took the Vikings -2.5, which was an absolute heartbreaker. And then also Jordan Addison, anytime touchdown, which he was wide the hell open, and Josh Dobbs missed him. But I don't know what the Vikings do in their situation because I know that Josh Dobbs is not the guy. He's probably going to be a career backup, which is great. He's going to have a great career. But you obviously know people were saying he was going to be a starter for like the next 5 years, which we all knew that probably wasn't going to happen. But they also have Kirk Cousins, who's going to be a pending free agent. They have Justin Jefferson extension talks that are going to go into the offseason as well. What do the Vikings do? Because I love Kirk Cousins. I think he is probably, when he's on, he's a top 10 quarterback when he's on, but you haven't won anything with him. Like, is it time to change direction? I don't know what the Vikings do.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a really tough conversation for me because Kirk, I love Kirk. He was with Washington for so long and everything, but I just don't think he's that guy that can get him over the hump. Like I'll even say it's similar to like Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Like I just don't think I love him. And like you said, he's a top 10 quarterback when he's on, but they haven't won anything with him. And then you're just at this point you're wasting talent with Justin Jefferson. That's what it feels like, at least. And I know right now he's in that weird situation. I believe it's with his hamstring he came out and said, I'm not playing until I feel 100%, and which is smart because like you said, he's got extension talks coming up. Like there's no reason for him to try to hurt himself with a team that has Joshua Dobbs at the helm trying to lead them to the playoffs. And yeah, they ripped off a couple games in a row or whatever, but then we see last night, Monday Night Football, where they lose 12-10 to the Chicago Bears, who didn't even score a touchdown. It's the first time since 1993 that the Bears have won a game without scoring a touchdown. Don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Just a random stat that I saw.
And they're really good on prime time. I think they're 3-1 in prime time, but they're 1-7 in every other game.
Yeah. So I don't even know where you start there. I like their head coach. I do. I like O'Connell. I do. I like the offensive mindset, but even with them, like at the beginning of this year with Kirk Cousins, like they were struggling pretty bad. They had to rip off a few games to even get back to 500, and now they don't have their starting quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles tear, and when you're that, like, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, I guess, like you don't come back and be the same player as you were after an Achilles tear like that at that age at least. So it's going to be an interesting situation in Minnesota for sure.
Yeah, I want to backtrack on what you said about Dak. Respect Dak a little bit this year. He has been phenomenal this year.
Yeah.
I know he hasn't played much competition, but I want to put some respect on Dak's name this year.
Listen, I'm not fully disrespecting Dak, but also go look at the Cowboys' schedule. They have not beaten a team over 500, and that's
they
factual.
have some chances down the road.
Yeah, they do. They have some chances to show themselves, but every team that they played, they've been dominated by that has an over 500 record. But also with Dak, they haven't won anything either. So that's my only thing is like the Kirk Cousins thing. Hasn't won anything. Neither has Dak with the Cowboys. So,
but so if Dak beats the Eagles in 2 weeks, is he the MVP?
He might be because he has the stats to back. I think statistically, he's the best quarterback in the league this year
for sure.
But at the same time, like if you go look at his schedule, like they haven't played anybody over 500. I know that's you like whatever, but
they're extremely overrated. But I don't think the problem is Dak. I know that's a whole different conversation. I don't think it is Dak. I think the run game has a lot of different issues. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But back to the Vikings, I don't think you go back to Kirk because I know that the guys in the locker room love him. He's a stand-up guy. I loved him on the show Quarterback. That was so cool to see what he's a little weird though. He is definitely, he loves football. I know that much. It seems like he lives and breathes football all the time. So great guy. But if I was Kirk Cousins and I want to prove myself and go win a championship, I also don't think the Vikings are the spot to do it. I think there are some teams, maybe, I don't know about the cap situation, but there were some rumors that Kirk Cousins could be traded to the Cleveland Browns. There are some other teams that he could definitely fit in right away and probably make a run to a Super Bowl.
And he definitely seems like if you guys watch the quarterback, like the show Quarterback on Netflix, like he's a pretty simple guy. Like him and his wife live a simple life like that. Yes, their house is very nice and everything like that, but he doesn't have like a mansion like most of these starting quarterbacks do. Like he's a very down to earth guy, loves his family, loves football, obviously. But
Patrick Mahomes has the coolest house, though.
100%. But like Kirk Cousins, I feel like is a guy at this point in his career, especially like you said, chasing a Super Bowl, never had one, never even been close to one.
Right.
Like he'd be willing to take a pay cut to sign with one of these teams that has a chance, that just needs that one guy to get him over the hump. Because like you said, the Cleveland Browns are probably a solid quarterback away from being there just because of that defense and some of the weapons they have on offense.
For sure. Shout out to Kirko, too, for his agent, because the way that he went about contracts his entire career, fully guaranteed 3 years, like he is most the MVP of his career.
No trade clause most of the time. Like
I know.
It's or trade clause, sorry. He's able to decide where he wants to go and where he doesn't have to go. Like,
I'm surprised that more quarterbacks didn't take that route who have like a similar career. Like I could see Dak going that route for the rest of his career potentially, but I mean, that just feels like you're getting more money up front in a shorter amount of time. You get to hit free agency a little bit quicker, but you're not in a 1-year deal where if you hurt yourself, you're completely out of it. Like Kirk Cousins hurt himself, but he's going to have plenty of offers in the offseason. But I think a couple quarterbacks, I think they'll be in position if they keep losing. They will be in a prime position to get a guy like Jaden McDaniels or Drake May or who knows, even maybe they could trade up and get Caleb Williams, because I've seen Caleb slipping in some mock drafts. So I think that the Vikings, their number one priority, I think, is just to go younger at the quarterback position and just get the guy that O'Connell wants too, because maybe he does love Kirk Cousins. He's came out and said that, but there's nothing better than going out as a head coach and getting the quarterback that you wanted, because you can see it with a lot of these like guys. Like I know like Ron Rivera loves Sam Howell. It was a guy who was drafted with Ron Rivera. I know it was late in the draft, but it just feels like you have more of a connection with that guy than if you weren't drafted by that head coach.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Kirk Cousins is going to want because he's very big on he's not going to sign somewhere unless it's pretty much the exact deal that he wants. And like you said, his agent's an MVP for that. Like, but O'Connell, he's a young guy. Like I think he's probably I think they said the second youngest head coach in the NFL, something like that. I think he gets input from Justin Jefferson. Like they have offensive weapons right now. Like Jordan Addison, like kind of a dog. Like I know he didn't show it really last night, but he's a solid young receiver. Justin Jefferson's obviously when he plays probably the best, at least most talented receiver in the NFL. You got TJ Hawkinson. The running backs are a little shaky. Like I think this Ty Chandler guy might work out for him, but I don't think he's going to be like the best running back. So I think honestly, you get somebody that's young, like you said, maybe draft somebody if you can at one of the solid guys coming out, and just see what happens. Like make sure that Justin Jefferson's happy with it, like because you want to keep your stars happy. Right. Is the big thing. And then I guess other than like their offense is pretty set if they can find a quarterback like that. And I mean, I don't like I was trying to say, like Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he'll be happy with it, but maybe like a 1 or 2 year deal with him again. So they have this like younger quarterback to learn under him, because it would be a good offense to step into for sure as a young quarterback, but it's still just tough to be thrown into there as a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if Kirk would stay if he knew that a rookie quarterback was coming in, because a lot of those guys, they don't like grooming a younger quarterback, especially that generation. Like I know Joe Flacco wasn't about that. You can tell Ryan Tannehill's not about that. Like those
obviously
guys.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. He's kind of done well with Zach.
I'm talking about when he was in Packers.
Yeah, with Jordan Love, when he got drafted there, he felt a little bit disrespected. No, that obviously, like if it were me, I'd feel a little disrespected too. It's like, why are you drafting this guy? I got like 5 years left of me. But you mentioned the weapons that they had. I'm curious. I know this is kind of off topic, but Jordan Addison, you were talking about how great he was. Now that we're almost to the back part of the season, or we are on the back part of the season, how would you rank those wide receivers that were drafted in the first round, late in the first round? It went Nick Jigba, Johnston, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison. So how would you rank those four?
So ranking those four?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go from 1 to 4? Or
yeah,
4
1
to
1? 4.
1 to 4. Okay, so 1, I think I'm gonna put Jordan Addison. Yeah. I will. I guess just with when he had Kirk Cousins, at least like he was solid, like number 2 receiver. He was making some big plays, and he was a touchdown machine at the beginning of this year. Number 2, I think it's pretty clear. I'm gonna go Zay Flowers. He's been a dog, and I mean he's got the nickname Joystick, and that's for a reason. Like he's electric when he's on the field. Like probably definitely the quickest one out of all of them. Like I think he might even have the biggest playmaking ability out of all of them.
Sure.
3, it's going to be Jackson Njigba Smith. He started the season slow, but he's starting to pick it up. But he's behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Like, and you've got Geno Smith as your quarterback. Like, It's going to take some time for you to get used to it. And I think that's good for him though, that he's not just like thrown right into it. And then obviously number 4 is Quentin Johnson. Like the guy has been an absolute bust, and for him to be taken first. No, Jackson and Njigba Smith went first, but to be taken ahead of Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers, like that is just outlandish, pretty much.
Yeah, insane. I mean, it was right after too. It went Zay, and then it went Addison. And I honestly thought Addison was going to be the biggest bust just because of the offense that he played in. It was more his style. I didn't know how he would fit with the Minnesota Vikings with Justin Jefferson, but he's been proven that he can play, maybe not as a wide receiver 1 yet, but he has wide receiver 1 ability. But in my opinion, just because of what bias out of it, just because of what Zay has done for the Ravens offense, just because of how important he is, I think it's Zay Flowers, just because I think we know right now, like he is a wide receiver 1. Like he is the wide receiver 1 on the Ravens, broke the rookie record for receptions by a Raven, and he did it within like 12 games. I mean, the guy doesn't drop the ball. He's very fast, playmaking ability. He sealed the game the other night, which was freaking electric, and I couldn't even watch it.
And cashed -3 for us,
Yeah,
which was
cash
huge.
-3. I could not watch it the other night because the Ravens blow so many freaking leads. I had to go upstairs, and I was like, I told Jake, I said, if you start screaming, I know that something good happened. And when he started screaming, well, first they were like, oh, he almost fumbled the ball. And then you were like, oh my God. And then you started screaming. And I was like, God, thank Jesus. I thought for sure that we blew
in that situation, like most guys are going to take a knee, and I was like, wait a second, he's still going. He's still running.
Right.
Go to the end zone.
What'd you think of both of his celebrations? Because Lamar Jackson said that they were quote unquote ass.
No, like, yeah, that was ass.
Oh no, I'm with you on the first one for sure. Like that one was the cheekiest thing I've ever seen. Like they had I guess it was him and Bateman that only knew what was going on because the offensive lineman caught the ball and then handed it to Bateman. Like that's not how the bouquet throw goes anyways, but that one, yeah, ass as Lamar Jackson described it. The second one was pretty cool. Like I feel like I see it a lot though, like the Ronaldo Sue celebration.
Yeah.
But that was still tough to see, especially in that situation. Like I was already hype as fuck. So
Thank God it went backwards. Thank God he did the Sue thing last on the game-winning touchdown rather than doing the bouquet first, because that shit was freaking awful. I just don't think it was planned correctly. I think that if it was planned and the teammates got a hold of it, it would have been a cool celebration because of his last name. But Lamar just giving him that stink face right after was the funniest thing ever. And to go on the podium and say it's ass in front of it.
And to have Zay Flowers trying to explain it to you on the sideline and you're still like,
yeah, you don't get it. It seemed like Lamar's never been to a wedding before. I understood it kind of right away, but I understood why it was bad. But I would go just back to that. I would go Zay, and then I would go Addison, Jackson Smith Najigba, and then Quentin Johnston, obviously. But the Vikings, their uniforms last night were really dope. I actually love the throwback jerseys. So I want to see where we rank these jerseys because there's so many good ones now that teams can wear different helmets. They have different alternate jerseys. So I'm curious to what your top 3 favorite alternate or throwback jersey is.
Okay, so I am so actually I did top 5. So I know I'm breaking the rules a little bit, but
Fair.
I did do the Minnesota jerseys at number 5. Then number 4, you're actually gonna like this one. The Ravens all black unis.
Yeah, that's
for
fire.
some reason I like all black too. Like I almost put the Commanders all black on at number 5, but I don't know, something about it's just not. We also suck in them, so that's why I left it all. But yeah, I'm going Ravens all black at number 4. Then this might surprise you. I'm only putting the Eagles Kelly Green at 3.
Oh wow,
Something
that's
about
really
it,
low.
yeah. I love the color and everything. It's just something about it, and maybe it's because I hate the Eagles. That's why I'm putting them at 3. Number 2. This might also surprise you. I'm going with the Bucks creamsicles.
Oh, I forgot about those. Those are fire.
Fire,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then my number 1. It might be a little biased because I have my favorite color is that baby blue.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Chargers powder blues.
Oh, wow. That's actually my favorite color, too. So we kind of went the same direction in a sense with the powder blues. But at my number 3, I actually had the Cincinnati Bengals. Their all white jerseys are so fire.
Yeah, I forgot about those too.
Yeah,
with
and
the
I
white
think-
helmets and everything.
Yeah, oh my God, it is so fire. I think that the Cleveland Browns is like a ripoff. So, but the way that Cincy just looks so confident in them, and they all just think that's fire. I don't know. It's just absolutely
and they just
flames.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they have that swag about them. Joe Shiesty,
the all white
they look
is fire.
they look fire in the all whites.
Yeah. And then number 2, I put the Eagles Kelly Green. Obviously, we got our inspiration from our logo from the Kelly Green, and I freaking love the jerseys. But I think that the players like the look of them. But did you see the video of them saying they're too tight? All these throwback unis, all the players are, especially the bigger offensive linemen, they're all dude, I can't even.
No, I
breathe in this
definitely
thing.
believe I saw Jason Kelsey talking about it. He's like, yeah, I love it, but I can't get that motherfucker off.
Imagine trying to do a jersey swap with those things and watching him trying to get it off.
Yeah.
It's wild that some of these players have to get help to get their jerseys and
Well, I played D3 college and it was the same way, especially after sweating it all day. It just sticks to you and you feel like you're literally suffocating. And I was a 250-pound guy in college. These guys are 300-pound plus. Imagine them trying to tear these jerseys off, and they're top quality, tight. They're meant to be tight, but it's kind of a pain in the ass putting them on and off.
I'm gonna give my number 1 real quick, but my number 1 is the Tennessee Titans blue. Their throwback, or the Oilers throwback. that is my absolute favorite. So I love the Carolina Panthers regular jerseys if we were just doing regular jerseys. And the powder blue for the Chargers. Whatever they wore the other night, that freaking like dark color, I thought I liked it at first, and I'm like, dude, it just does not fit their scheme or whatever they're trying to do. But those Oilers jerseys are so light blue, like they're probably the lightest blue, and that's why I like them so much. They just stick out. And I was going to say that you obviously aren't 250 pounds anymore. You've lost a ton of weight. But I think I'm going to throw a picture up here of you at 250 pounds because it blows my mind that when I go back and think about how big that you have to get for like college football. And then how about like just because I'm thinking about the weight loss like journey of like all these offensive linemen and stuff. I know you play tight end, so you had to bulk up a little bit. Like, is it easier to lose weight like after you gain all that weight to like try to put on for football, or is it harder?
For me, honestly, it was a much easier to lose the weight after putting it on. Like, I mean, you knew me, like we've known each other since kindergarten. Like I was pretty skinny, like all the way up, even into height. Like my senior year, I started eating three peanut butter jellies a day, just trying to put some weight on. And I got to college and I was maybe soaking wet 200 pounds. And then after my freshman year, like I went in as like a receiving tight end. And that's what I was like best for. And then sophomore year of college, we turned into like a run heavy team. So like they were like, all right, we want you to put some weight on or whatever. And so I just started eating everything that I could. And I didn't do it in the best way, I guess you could say. So I just put on any weight that I could get. So like it wasn't like all muscle. Like I got a lot stronger and everything like that, but I had quite the gut on me, like fear the belly, baby, sort of thing. So I honestly, I think I peaked out at like 260.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and that was just but like eating that much food every single day.
Is it harder to gain the weight or to lose the weight?
Harder to gain the weight, at least for me personally. Like obviously if you just eat and you're not mindful about it like at all, but like for me, like I was trying to eat pretty mindful, like mostly protein, like eggs in the morning, like chicken at lunch, chicken in between lunch and dinner, like steak at dinner, like just eating that healthy and trying to get that many calories in a day is, I think, in my opinion, way harder than not eating. Pretty much like you're eating to get to the protein goal, obviously to maintain as much muscle as you can. But so for me, like gaining the weight was so much harder than me losing the weight.
Right. Yeah, I think I just always wondered about that just because of all of these like offensive linemen that retire and like you see them like 6 months later and it seems like they're a whole different person. I think Marshall Yanda was the first one that everybody saw and was like, holy crap, you looked like you lost 200 pounds. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it would be when you're eating that much and then when you just cut back immediately, like it's got to just automatically come off.
Yeah, no, and that's, I mean, to relate it to like bodybuilders, like I think they all agree as well. Like it's so much harder to just eat clean and get that like 5,000-6,000 calories in a day. Like, especially eating clean because it's like it's got to be chicken and rice. Like it's got to be these very like basic stuff just to make sure that you hit all these like macro goals and stuff. But then when you're done, it's kind of like, well, it takes so much effort to like, you're literally shoveling food down your mouth, even when you're not hungry. So like for these offensive linemen, like obviously they've had nutritionists their entire lives. They know what to eat and stuff like that. So all they have to do basically is just cut back on it. And these guys are already freaks of nature. Like, and then they're able to just slim out because they don't have to be in that big anymore. Like,
that's crazy. That's insane. I mean, kind of jealous. I wish weight would come off that easy all the time for all of us. I'm sure a lot of the viewers probably think the same way. And I know a lot of people say that it's easier. They hate when people are like, it is so much easier to lose weight, but in reality, it most likely is just because of all the information that we have now on losing weight, especially on TikTok. My God, I see different freaking. We look up different foods every single night. Like you can have pizza and all that stuff and still lose weight. So, but another thing this past weekend was the officiating, man. It was maybe the worst weekend of NFL officiating that I've seen to date this season. And I know that maybe I'm a little biased, but the number one game that stuck out to me just because I was so invested into it was the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to pull up the clip of the two plays that were absolutely insane. You can see that Nelson Aguilar obviously got the first down on that reception, and they ended up picking up the first down on the next play on third down. And then the next play was Lamar Jackson, and he ran out to the outside, and he obviously reached
Clearly
for the
extended the
first
ball.
down.
Like they showed it. Like even the commentators, like he extended that ball, and the ball was there before it went out of bounds. Like it was ahead of the the first down before it went out of bounds.
Right. It was absolutely nuts. And then Todd Monken, after the game, what he said was they asked him, like, why did you run a wildcat play after or on the fourth down and take the ball out of your best player's hands? And he said, well, I thought it was a first down because the referee signaled a first down, and then the marker said fourth down, and it was just super. And then being up in the box, it's hard to know what down it is.
Even the game graphic showed that it was first down and 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody caught that, but it said literally on the broadcast, it said first and 10 after that play, and that's, I mean, I think we were both like just blasphemy, like why are they running wildcat right here, taking out Lamar Jackson's hands? But obviously there was some miscommunication, like.
Right. I don't see what bothers me is like he's never ran a wildcat play this year. I don't believe so. But you have run it on a 1st and 10. So that makes me think that he maybe like lied about it a tad to make it seem like, oh, I only called that play because it was first down. But like, why are you running wildcat on first down with Gus Edwards? Like you're obviously trying to get it to your bigger guy. There was some other games too. There was the Eagles. They had a ton of officiating problems, especially from the Bill. If you're a Bills fan, you obviously saw a lot, like with the horse collar, with the pass interference on Stephon Diggs. So what do you think that the NFL should maybe do? I know that it's a constant argument, but like there has to be a change in something, especially when it really impact the result of these games.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. Like I guess the only thing you can say is like you got to hold these refs accountable. Like, and that like the crazy thing is these refs will come out after the game and be like, yeah, that's our bad. Like we know we missed some calls, like, but nothing is done to them.
Right,
like,
that's not good enough.
No, not at all. And I think I sent you an article from The Athletic, and all these Bills players are just talking about like we want these guys held accountable. Like it is just it's crazy because they're able to make these calls on the field. They're able to fine us all this money throughout the season, but then like they have nothing holding them accountable. And like I think it was Ed Hochul's crew that did this game, but I believe in this game, and obviously like the Bills. Some of these calls were obviously justified, like, but I want to say the Bills had 10 penalties at halftime.
Yeah, it says it right here. It says by halftime, the Bills already had been penalized 10 times, one fewer than their worst game all season, and 3 away from matching their worst game in 8 years for 75 yards.
And then right below this, it says the Eagles' second penalty came on the final possession of the fourth quarter.
That's insane.
That's like, and that's, I get it. Like sometimes you just play a cleaner game and like, but like, when a game is that close, like normally it doesn't go that way. Like both teams are either equally penalized or there's just no penalties on both teams. So like, I don't know. It's just, and then we have like, just the one that pops in my head. It was the blatant horse collar tackle on Josh Allen down in the red zone. Like, and I know you never know what's going to happen. You never know if they're going to score, but obviously that being missed, like definitely hurt their opportunity to put 7 points on the board there.
Right. And I think that I know a lot of people like say like, they hate when fans complain about the officiating, but I think like it's definitely valid in these situations. Like I went and tweeted earlier in the year when Zay Flowers was obviously like penalized in overtime that cost the Ravens the game. They were going to win that game, but that's a whole nother conversation. But like I think what they should do, I wrote down some things that maybe that the NFL can do. And I think the number one thing is you put them on the podium. Like, I don't understand why these NFL players, after they just dropped a huge pass, like MVS, when he dropped the ball the other night, they wanted to talk to him. Like, and when a player makes a bad play, it's like, oh, the media wants to go. Why can't the media go up to these refs? It's always a couple days after, like when things slow down, they give them a call. They can do it in person. The refs get to walk away free. So it's like, why are they not scrutinized in front of the entire NFL fan base for saying, why did you miss this call? And another thing is fining them. Like, they make a ton of money, a shit ton of money. Maybe not to a degree of NFL players, obviously, but you can fine them for $2,000 here, $5,000 here. Like, especially when it's blatant, when it's really bad.
Yeah. Not like obviously not like we're not suggesting find these guys to the aspect of these NFL players that are making millions, but these guys, like if you look it up, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars for what, 6 months out of the year?
6 months of work.
Yeah, like it's
it's a hard job though.
No, 100%. Like
It's a hard job.
I'm not saying that officiating is easy, but like a missed call here and there, I get it, but like for a game like this, like it just seemed like, and I know it's very like the narrative is that the Eagles get all the calls. But like for a game like this, it just seemed very evident that like, and no, I don't think there's like any like bias, like they're purposely calling like against the Bills, but like it's crazy that a game like this can happen, and it almost feels like it was the deciding factor of the game, like to be an overtime game, 37-34, like, and it just felt like every call was against the Bills, or the Bills weren't getting any calls.
Yeah, exactly. And I just pulled up one right here with Darius Slay where he says he says in the tweet, refs miss calls all the time. Nobody's perfect, but holding and grabbing goes on every play. If they would have called it, I wouldn't be mad at all. And you can see in the video right here that Stephon Diggs was obviously being held or pass interference.
Completely hinders him from catching that ball. Like if he's able to get that, first of all, he's holding the jersey, and he's also got contact with the arm a little bit. Like if he's not holding him there, like Stephon Diggs is one of the best receivers in the league. I think he catches that ball.
Right. And what Darius Slay said here is it happens all the time. That's fine, but you can clearly see, even if it wasn't slow motion, like if you go and watch it in real-time speed, you can see his arms are extended. Yep. And when they always say when the defender's arms start getting extended and you can obviously see the hold, like obviously when they're up tight and close, like it's harder to call holding. Yeah. But in that situation, it is clearly holding and pass interference. And I know that it didn't completely kill the Bills because I think they went down and almost scored with Gabe Davis.
Oh, Bills had every opportunity to win that game. Like let me be clear about that, like that. Like the Eagles, they made the plays when it needed to be, but we felt like the officiating had like, and I hate to see it and I hate to hear it, but like I feel like the officiating had like an influence on that game, and you hate to see it in a close game like this against two of
the best game of the year.
Honestly,
too.
Yeah,
it
up to this date, I think it really has been at least the most entertaining. And I mean Slay, he had another one against Trent Sherfield, where I don't think it was that big of a play or whatever, but Darius Slay is like literally tackling him before he even touches the ball.
Right.
And I know maybe in real time it's like bang bang, but like when you slow it down, like it does influence it to like defensive pass interference, but like when he's clearly got you wrapped up before the ball even touches you, like that should be a pass interference. Like there's no doubt about it. And I don't know if I sent you that one, so we'll try to find that clip. But
I want to see this clip again. So I want to watch the Josh Allen clip. So I have right now, I'll pull it up, is Josh Allen getting an obvious horse collar. And what's even crazier, I mean, look at this. You can clearly see there is no way you spin a player around like that unless you have him by the horse collar. And not only that, on that play, they ended up calling intentional grounding on Josh Allen.
And look,
he's
Gabe
outside
Davis,
the tackle box.
Yep, and Gabe Davis is right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the ref is looking directly at the play. So I know that it's easier to see it in slow motion or whatever, but when you're right there on the field, that just completely blows my mind. But real quick, before we move on, is Josh Allen loses another big game. I know they had a great game. Great game. Got to give it to him. But why do the Bills continue to lose these big? It seems like every time Josh Allen has a generational performance, like they lose. Is Sean McDermott like on the hot seat for you? Because I see a lot of Bills fans saying like it's about time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one for me because like I argued last week, like I still do believe in this Bills team. Like when they're on it, which it's apparently this season is very rare. Like I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best. Like they have the talent, and obviously injuries have really hurt them this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But like I don't know. I don't get it. And like the Eagles, I guess for this game, the Eagles just seem like they're that scrappy team that I mean, they've been down back-to-back weeks, like the same deficit by 10 points, and they somehow against the Chiefs and now against the Bills, like they're able to find a way to fight back. So I guess the Eagles is a bad example, but like they're I think they're 0-6 in overtime since they've had Josh Allen, which is nuts. And I remember I saw our good friend Luke Schultz talking about that, like defending that, but like at some point, like when you're in these close games, like you have to find a way to pull this out.
I know, especially on that throw to Gabe Davis, which was absolute. I don't know whose fault it was on, so I'm not going to blame it.
From Josh Allen's reaction, it looked like it was Gabe Davis, but
from
I'm
Gabe
not sure.
Davis's reaction, it looked like it was Josh Allen's fault too.
Right,
so
right.
like, I don't know who it was, and I wish that we got an answer to that, and we never will. But I mean, I could see it being either way. But I just don't. I think it's about time to move on from Sean McDermott, just because, not because he's a terrible coach. It's because like it's time to like really take advantage of this team before Stephon Diggs starts finding his way out of there, and everybody else is going to find a way out too.
Agreed.
Speaking of these quarterbacks, I wanted to blind rank quarterbacks. So I have 5 quarterbacks that I have listed right here. I'm just going to name them off, and you are going to blindly rank them 1 through 5.
Okay. All
right.
Let's get into it. Give me the first name.
So the first name is Justin Herbert.
Man, you kind of know how I feel about Justin Herbert.
I know.
So, but you know what? I think you hold him pretty highly.
I do.
So, talent-wise, I'm gonna put him at 3.
Okay, put him at 3. That's probably a good spot. That's a middle spot. All right, so let's go with Dak Prescott.
You know what? I hate Dak because I'm a Commanders fan, but I respect his game. But I'm not. I feel like you're gonna have some pretty good guys on this list. So I'm gonna put him at 4.
Okay. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah.
I think him and Justin are probably close to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jalen Hurts.
Oh, see, I think very highly of Jalen, even though he's I'm a Commanders fan and he's obviously the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. But it's hard, and I love his presence. Like I love his. I wish he would get a little bit more emotional, but I also love that about him. Like he's always business. But if you throw like I don't know who else you have on this list. So I'm gonna put him at 2. I'm gonna put him at 2.
Okay, you're gonna put him at 2. So you're gonna be in a bad spot here. So all right, so Josh Allen.
See, I'm scared about who this last. So I'm gonna put him at 1.
Okay, so you put Lamar Jackson at number 5.
Fuck. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Not blindly ranking. How would you have that play out?
All right, so I'm probably putting Herbert at 5.
Okay.
Just based off of how I feel about him and how he's played, like how his team has played this year. And then I'll put Dak at 4.
Okay.
I would put I put Lamar at 3.
Lamar at 3 underneath Jalen and Josh?
I'm honestly I'm probably putting Jalen at 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I
don't
love
know.
Jalen too.
Josh, I think just Josh.
You think Josh is better than Lamar?
No, I don't know.
Those 3 are tough. That's why I chose those 3.
Yeah.
Those are really hard.
So I feel like the top 3 are interchangeable for me, honestly. Like
it depends on the day, the
for,
game.
For this year specifically, I'm putting Josh at 3, Lamar at 2, Jalen at 1.
Okay.
Sorry to break your bubble there.
That's fair.
But
I love Jalen. I tweeted out the other day and said that I root for Jalen Hurts. I rooted for him in the Super Bowl like it was the Ravens playing.
Right.
Just because he had that stigma against him too, and he's a freaking dog.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Lamar at 1. I go Jalen at 2, just because. Man, Jalen and Josh, they could interchange. It depends on just because of, Jalen's had some interception problems, but it's not as bad as Josh because it feels like Jalen's interceptions are like freaky. Like every time it feels like it's tipped up or something crazy happens.
And obviously they've only lost 1 game. So Josh Allen has been the reason Bills have lost the games, I feel like. Yeah,
I feel like I go Jalen 2, Josh 3, Dak 4, Herbert 5, even though I'm a really big Herbert
that's
guy.
A tough list. That is like I figured I was waiting for like a Patrick Mahomes or something like that, but
right.
I really backed myself into a hole there. That's rough.
Yeah, you putting Lamar at 5 is crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so now that you have made me blindly rank quarterbacks and I roughly put Lamar Jackson at 5, I'm going to make you blindly rank 5 wide receivers.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so the first name you have,
oh man,
Brandon Ayuk.
You know what's crazy is the wide receivers in the NFL are so good.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost a tougher situation than like the quarterback situation.
Yeah, it is. I love Ayuk too.
Yeah.
I think he's a wide out one, but I feel like you got better guys on this list. So I'm putting Ayuk at 5.
At 5, okay.
Yeah, I'm putting Ayuk at 5.
Okay. Next name, Stephon Diggs.
Feel like you got a better name than Diggs, but he is one of my favorites, and he's a great route runner, probably the best in the game. I'm putting him at 2.
Okay.
Putting Diggs at 2.
I like that. Keenan Allen.
One of the most consistent wide receivers.
Yeah, and is having a heck of a year this year.
Just based off of talent alone, hands, route running ability, putting him at 3. I feel like some guy is maybe better than him, but consistency wise, and this year he's 3.
Okay.
He's 3.
Okay. Next name, Tyreek Hill.
Oh man, you're either gonna make me put somebody at 4.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be Jefferson or something stupid.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Who do I think is better? Do I think Jefferson? Well, I don't even know if it's Jefferson, but do I think Hill is probably better than the next guy? Yeah, I'll take Hill at 1. I'll take Hill at 1.
Okay. And the final name, AJ Brown.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I'm not killing myself over it. I think
yours definitely went a lot better than mine.
Yeah, I think AJ could be 2 or 3 in my regular list.
Honestly, the only thing I would change would be flipping Keenan Allen and AJ Brown.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, probably.
Maybe AJ Brown
Diggs,
maybe bumps up to 2 and Diggs down to 3
this year.
Yeah.
I'm okay with AJ at 4.
Yeah,
but you didn't make me look as stupid as putting Lamar Jackson
for
at
sure,
5.
for sure. Throwing out Herbert and Dak was like that. The first 2 names, I was like, I don't know.
Speaking of the Cowboys with Dak, Daron Bland, dude,
do we want to talk about it?
Is he a dog or is he like?
He's a dog this year.
Wonder?
He's a dog this year. That's for sure.
Man, he has been crazy. There was a bet on FanDuel that said that it said Daron Bland to get a pick 6, and he's had 5 this year already or 4 this year already. And they
plus
put it in
parentheses. 2,700 odds too.
Yeah, plus 2,700. And somebody posted it, and they said, I wonder who's going to take the bait or something like that. And I said, they definitely want you to take that bait. Right after I tweeted that, like he got the pick 6, and I put underneath it, I said, fuck, I wish I would have taken that bet.
Did I tell you that I did? ESPN Bet just came to Maryland a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it had
great
absolutely,
app.
yeah,
It's a really good app.
yeah. I actually really enjoy it. Like I think I might start betting on that a lot more.
Yeah, the interface is like a top tier, and it's like I think it's a better interface than DraftKings.
I agree. Something about DraftKings. The great app as well, but I like ESPN Bet even more than that one.
Yeah.
But they gave an offer where if you bet a certain amount of money, you get $200 in free bets, and they were $50 bets each. For some reason on Thanksgiving, I was already pretty a little tipsy, and I saw that. I actually saw your tweet, and I was like, wait a second. He's playing the Washington Commanders. He's playing my Commanders. Like, we are not – Sam Howell, yes, I love you, but he's pretty bad at throwing interceptions, especially against good teams.
Right.
I almost put a $50 – one of those free $50 bets.
Oh, my God. That would have paid
plus
out.
2,700.
Yeah, I don't know what – I'm really bad
I think
at
I did them. It's like it would have been over $1,200.
Oh, wow. That would have been a great Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm very down bad about that.
Yeah, you were a little bit tipsy, too. And it was a free bet.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's really
kind of makes me want to cry right now. So speaking of Daron Bland setting the NFL record for the most pick 6s in a season at 5, the previous record was at 4. I am going to have my co-host here, Matthew King, guess the quarterbacks that have thrown the most pick 6s of all time.
Thrown the most pick 6s.
The most pick 6s of all time.
The opposite.
Yep.
Okay.
And I want the top 5, please. And I know that's kind of tough, but they're all well-known names.
Okay.
Think longevity here.
Yeah, so
that's where you should go to.
So I know one of them is Matt Schaub, right?
Not on the list.
Wow, Matt Schaub went on like that 6-week run.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, Matt Ryan. Is he
Not on the list.
Wow. Oh man. This is gonna be hard.
Think longevity. Think gunslingers.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No.
Wow.
No.
Holy shit. This might be the hardest one to date. Gunslinger. Oh, Brett Favre?
Number 1.
Brett Favre, I should have known.
32.
32 pick 6s. Holy shit. That's a lot of pick 6s. Oh my God. Still longevity. Are we still thinking longevity? So
100. All of these are longevity.
Oh man, I gotta think of like the era of. It's gotta be in the 2000s.
I will give you 2 of these guys are old heads.
Okay.
The other 2 fairly recent. One of them might still be playing.
Okay. Oh man, this is the toughest game yet. Is Terry Bradshaw on the list?
No.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Oh, shoot. Any other hints? I think I'm out of guesses.
Really?
Yeah, this is
I can
hard.
give you what teams they were known to play
Okay, yeah,
for.
give me the teams. That
So
might help.
I'm not going to give you one of them because he was only played on one team.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this guy is known for being a Detroit Lion.
Matt Stafford.
Yep.
Wow, I did.
Re-
Wow,
I did.
this is
that
really
was-
surprising.
I
me.
know, but he is number 3 with. Well, he's tied for second with 29.
Oh wow, holy shit.
This other
guess
guy.
being
This
in
other
Detroit.
guy is the old head, and he's known for being a New York Jet.
Okay, Joe Namath.
Yep.
Wow,
Joe
how
Namath.
how are these old
At-
heads on
at
the
28.
list?
Yeah.
They
yeah.
barely threw the ball. They used to throw the ball like 10 times a game.
Right. Well,
That's insane.
I was very surprised to see like his name because you think about him as a great quarterback, and
Yeah,
like you said, they didn't throw the ball like that back in the day.
Most
so.
overrated quarterback of all time.
Okay.
I will live and die by Joe Namath. He had more interceptions than touchdowns in his career. I,
think,
should have
think
known
he was.
that.
I think he was more of like a personality than he was anything.
He was a movie star for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, and then this guy is known. I feel like this one will give it away too easy.
Just
He
give me
was-
the era. Give me the era.
So he
Like
was
recently?
Yeah, just retired recently.
Just retired recently.
Yeah, and this will really surprise you.
Tom Brady? No, not Tom Brady. Just retired recently.
Yep.
Like
yep.
how? Like are we talking in like the last
In the
5
past
years?
5-6 years?
Peyton Manning?
He's number 6 on the list
Oh wow.
at 27.
Mm.
This guy, he will really surprise you because he was such a his completion percentage and his accuracy was on point all the time.
Phillip Rivers?
He was number 7 on the
Oh
list
my god.
at 25.
Oh my god. Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees,
is
accuracy.
number 5 at also with 27, tied with Peyton Manning.
What the hell?
Right.
Wow, these are
Okay.
really. I would have
So
never
you've-
gotten these.
You've got the first one with Brett Favre. You've got 3 with Matt Stafford, Joe Namath at 4, Drew Brees at 5. Who is number 2 with 29? Old head.
Old
A
head.
lot of passing yards.
A lot of passing yards. Joe Montana.
No.
A lot of passing yards. So it's got to be. When I think of a lot of passing yards, I think of Drew Brees and Tom Brady, but they're not old heads. A lot of Oh. Dan Marino.
Bang.
I should have
Bang.
known that.
Dan Marino with 29.
Oh my God, Dan Marino, man, he's one of the most I can't believe. I guess so because he threw the ball. He's the reason why like the league has gone to
Yes.
where it is.
Yep.
In all honesty.
Yep.
But all right, so we're gonna do our last segment in game, and then we're gonna head off of here. Guess the player. This one's my favorite. I love this game so much.
This one's good. It
Yeah.
really gets my brain working, and I'm
Yeah,
like, man, like
for sure. So I'll go first, or you can go first and guess mine. So, all right. So once again, the rules are you get 10 hints or 10 questions, and you can say yes or no. You can't give more than that. So go ahead.
does this player play in the AFC or NFC?
AFC.
AFC. Okay. Does this player play on the offensive or defensive side of the ball?
Offensive.
Offensive. Okay. Is this player over 6'1"?
Yes.
Is this player a skills player?
Yes.
So what is that, 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this player play in the AFC East?
No.
Does this player play in the AFC North?
Play where in the AFC North?
Yes.
No.
Damn. All right. This is going to be tough.
You're at 6.
Yep. So it's either AFC East or West or South. I feel like I have to narrow it down. Does this player play in the AFC West?
Yes.
Okay.
Good rip.
Okay.
Good rip.
Okay. So who we got? We got Chiefs. We got Broncos. We got Raiders. We got Broncos.
You said Broncos twice.
Did I?
Yeah, Raiders,
Raiders.
Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos.
Right. Okay. Does this player play wide receiver?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's that? 8?
That's 8. So I feel like I gotta rip one of the teams and just take a shot. So do I get 10 questions and then a guess, or is my 10th one
10
the
questions and then a guess.
guess? Okay.
I'll give you the 11th hour.
Okay. Thank you. Does this player play for the Chargers?
No.
Does this player play for the Chiefs?
No.
Oh, I really got to take a shot in the dark here.
Yeah, I
So-
would give you a guess of the team, but then you know the player.
Yeah. So it's either Raiders or Broncos. So, I mean,
Yeah, you got to rip one out.
I know. I mean, the only ones it's Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims. Like, I don't know how deep you went here.
I can give you this. He technically he's not like deep. Like he's technically a starter, but he's not like the fourth or fifth guy. Like he's
I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow.
You said the name right on the second name that you said after Devontae Adams. It was
Jacoby
Jacoby Myers.
Damn it.
You went the right direction.
Damn it.
But,
I even picked the right team.
Dude, when you said Jacoby Myers, I wonder if it got me going. Like that.
I know. I should have looked at you when I was saying the
You should
name.
have said Devontae Adams. All right, go ahead. I think I'm going to win again this week. Let me see if I can win again this
I
week.
guess we'll see. All right. I got my guy pulled up right here. What's your first question?
All right. Does this player play in the AFC or the NFC?
The AFC.
The AFC. Okay, we both went AFC. Does this player play in the AFC North?
No.
Okay. So does this player play in the AFC South?
No.
AFC West?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So
Which is kind of crazy that we picked the same division.
Yeah, AFC West. Okay. Is this player a skills player?
No.
Okay, no. Okay. What am I at? 5?
Yep.
Does this player play for the Kansas City Chiefs?
No.
Shoot, I'm at 6. Does this player play for the Denver Broncos?
No.
Wow. Oh, shoot. I'm at 7. I got to get the team right. Does this player play for the LA Chargers?
No. Which is nuts.
Oh, wow. We both went
really
the
picked
Raiders.
the same team.
Holy shit. I'm not great at that. I feel like it's that white linebacker, but I don't know his freaking name. Does this player play linebacker?
No.
Shit. All right, I get one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go, does this player play defensive line?
Yes.
Is this player Max Crosby?
Yes, it is.
Hey! 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, the last second, just alley-oop. Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of Max Crosby, the insane shit that he went through this past week. Did you see a video of his knee?
Yeah. I believe
wild.
I read he had to go to the hospital before the game to get his knee drained or whatever.
That's insane.
that is absolutely insane.
That's a
And
dog.
yeah,
That's
for
a
sure.
dog.
Like he's become one of my favorite players just because of how hard he plays every single down. I believe he doesn't come off the field. I honestly believe that he is one of the only defensive linemen in this league that literally does not come off the field on any snap.
Yeah, I wish he was a Raven, man. And speaking of the Ravens, glad that they got the win this week. Jake is now rooting for the Commanders to lose every single game. So there's our update on our teams. I think I'm going to transition Jake to a Ravens fan at some point, hopefully. But once again, thank you guys for watching the I'm Him Sports Podcast. Once again, follow us on TikTok, Instagram. We're going to make a Facebook page soon. But follow us on all those platforms. And most importantly, please, if you love this video, like and subscribe. It would be a huge help to us. And Jake, thank you so much for hopping on here again. It's a lot of fun doing this with you.
Had a blast.
And
as
we
always.
Yeah, we will. And we will see you next week.